So yeah, to come back out, so we've sort of gone in, but now we're going to come back out to the real world extension of the problematicness of Wizards right now. So we're saying, don't just play D&D because there are other places that might have better mechanics that are better suited to the sort of story you want to tell, but we're also saying don't just play it if it's not your only option, because also you might want to think about avoiding them.
That said, I personally have decided that while we're going to avoid giving money to Wizards of the Coast, there are a whole lot of other vested interests in Dungeons & Dragons. And so if there is some awesome third-party product that you want on DM's Guild, yes, a share of that is going to go to Wizards of the Coast, but by all means, go out and buy the... one thing I saw recently was an adventure anthology themed around Miyazaki.
Oh, cool.
And so every adventure, there was one that was The Cat Returns, there was one that was Howl's Moving Castle, and so on. And if that sounds like it's your cup of tea, go support those people.
And, we just bought...
Absolutely.
We just bought the Heckner 5th edition adventure on Kickstarter, and I want to play that, and damn it, we'll have to play it in 5th edition, but you know what? It's probably going to be quite violent, and so therefore it's probably okay. That it's probably okay to use a violent system for a semi-horror game.
And we are going to keep on playing Magic, though we might be stopping buying new product.
Yeah, I mean, for the longest time we've been buying as much as we can, sort of like the professor says. Buy singles. Buy the singles you need, buy them off the secondary market, and, money's not going towards Wizards of the Coast.
We're interested in Pauper at the moment, we've said a few times, because the professor did a few videos about it and they were so entertaining and that they convinced us. And so all the money to that is going to go to local gaming stores who need and deserve your help, and not to Wizards of the Coast, who don't need and don't deserve your help.
Yeah.
And another part of this that we thought about a little bit was who should you support?
That's the next part I was going to get to. Well, you've got a couple of ideas. Go ahead.
So I couldn't really find a website for ethical role-playing game companies, ethical gaming companies. The best I found an Australian company that gives everybody a numeric rank based on how good they are, and they had a couple of video game companies, and I noticed nobody got above a C rating.
Oof. Ouch.
But I couldn't really find anything for role-playing games, and so I'm just going to say a couple that I have had positive interactions with.
Okay, go ahead.
And it tends to be the slightly smaller ones. I think the bigger ones are more interested in making money, but the smaller...
There's sort of a point.
Yeah.
Like, there's plenty of other big dirtbags out there other than Wizards.
Oh, absolutely.
If we're talking card games, have you seen the price gouging on Pokemon? Those poor children.
Yeah.
That game is ridiculously expensive.
I actually wonder if anybody even plays Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it just seems to be a collectible thing to me, as far as I can tell.
Anyway, sorry.
Even when I worked at a game store, no one actually played them.
Yeah.
They just bought them for collectibles. Anyway, so a couple of companies that I've found that are positive in my experience. Shout out to Cubicle 7, who do the Doctor Who role-playing game, the Lone Wolf role-playing game. They used to do the One Ring, and their big thing at the moment is that they've got the rights to Warhammer. Which, I want to play that at some point so much. So, with the Doctor Who RPG, there was a misprint on the spine of one book. Nothing was wrong.
A $60 book.
A $60, $70 hardback book. So the spines were meant to form a giant picture when you put them all together. But their printers thought that one of the spines, because it had just this tiny little bit of white on it, and I think the letter B for BBC, their publisher thought it was a mistake and just removed it. Cubicle 7 sent a replacement copy of the book to everyone who... All you had to do was send them a photo, and they sent it out to you for free.
Awesome.
And so I bought the book, and I felt sort of like, should I, shouldn't I? But I am a bit of a perfectionist. And so I sent them a picture, and they said, yep, sure, done. And they sent me a new copy of the book. They didn't ask for the old one back. I gave it to some friends of mine who like Doctor Who, and I hope that they like it. But that's pretty good customer service. But also, I backed a Kickstarter for Lone Wolf for them because I am a massive, massive fan of Lone Wolf, and I'm super excited about Book 31 coming out in next month. And as part of the Kickstarter, there were a whole ton of different books, and one of them was a Kickstarter exclusive book. I thought that book had been included in my massive Kickstarter backing, and so I sent them an email saying not just the Doctor Who one, but also I'm just wondering what's happened to this book. And they replied and said, actually, you didn't order it. I'd made a mistake. I hadn't added on the extra money for it. They sent it to me for free anyway.
Oh, how sweet.
Just because they said, well, yes, it was my fault, but they said, we can see that you've supported Lone Wolf so much, we're just going to give it to you.
That's amazing.
That is amazing customer service.
That is very sweet of them. I wouldn't even do that.
No, I wouldn't. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, Cubicle 7 went well above and beyond.
Yeah.
Oh, and also remember the postage for these things was from the UK to New Zealand, so that's not cheap. Yeah, so I was very impressed by them, and I really like their games too, so they're one company who I've just always got an eye on what they're doing, and I would still be buying lots of Warhammer books if I had more disposable money and didn't have another 500 games that we were running at the moment.
And I just a brief mention of sort of design space of gaming there. With Doctor Who, you've got this sort of 4-track way of like, are you a fighter or a runner or a talker or a, what's the fourth one is definitely a
Doer.
fourth one, right? Doer, right.
Yeah, so
solving problems and stuff.
The Doctor Who RPG is one where it sets up, it really strongly disincentivizes you from doing violence.
In fact, yeah, you're at the lowest on the initiative track if you try and fight, right?
Yeah, it's I think running is first, and then talking, and then doing something, and then fighting is last. So you will always go last if you try to fight, and also so many of the monsters are basically just immune to any weapon that you can throw at them, and can instant kill you if you hit them. I believe in the core rules there is no way to hurt a Dalek.
So the design space there is 100% geared at getting you to negotiate, run away, create a way around the problem. You get, just like in the TV show.
You get story points for doing clever actions, and surrendering to your enemies is explicitly called out as something that will get you extra story points, which is the main currency of the game.
It's very narrative focused, and
this is getting into. Maybe we should talk about Doctor Who more another time.
Maybe. Anyway, I just wanted to briefly mention the design space of that. So, go on. What's your next company?
My next company is Evil Hat Games. Evil Hat Games is the only company that I found. I'm sure there are others, but they're the only ones that I found who had a statement of ethics on their website, where they talk about their principles. And a lot of these principles, they should be really basic, straightforward things, like paying your artists well, paying your creative people, like interacting in a transparent manner with your fan base, like trying to support and show respect to your customers. So, yeah, all of these, this should be basic stuff, but they're the only company that I've seen, emphasis on seen, who actually do all of that stuff. And they also, they've got some really good games.
So they do Fate, right?
They do Fate, which is one of the open gaming license systems that we'll be looking at expanding over into.
I look forward to it.
Fate is a game that I continually don't manage to play and really want to.
We were supposed to do the Siege of Medilano in Fate, weren't we?
Yes, the original idea was that Siege of Medilano was going to be a Fate story. It was just going to be you.
Yeah, it was going to be a Fate story. Wow. Damn.
They do a number of games which are published in Fate, such as the Dresden Files game, which is another one that I'd love to do at some point. The campaign creation in that is so cool.
Yeah.
So if you don't know the Dresden Files, it's an urban fantasy series which is very strongly tied to Chicago, where it's set. And so the role-playing game has a lot of stuff about picking a city, either your city or one that you know from pop culture, and then really making your game be tied to what that city is, what that city means, what that city is about.
Awesome. what I like from what I've heard about Fate, what I like about it is that it's quite narrative focused, and the mechanics support that in a way that I'll just give you a negative example of mechanics in D&D, just not because it's our whipping boy, but because...
It is, though.
No, but because this is very, very true. Yeah. You know, you'll be doing something epic, and then the dice will just not support you.
Oh, absolutely.
It could be the thing you're best at, and then the dice just go, nope. It's like the narratively, it's the crux of the goddamn narrative. You need to make this one roll and you fail it.
This is why, to me, D&D, people want to do Lord of the Rings with it, but what D&D is actually best for simulating is Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Whereas like Fate and other narratively driven systems like Fate are much more about doing that cinematic, like, this is the thing that should be happening.
You get bonuses for doing things because you're doing them in character.
Yeah.
The more your character cares about what's going on, the better your chances are of success, basically.
Yeah. It's about the shape of story.
Yeah.
Rather than just dumb luck.
Yeah. And another game that Evil Hat does, which we are massive fans of and have already talked about, is Doe.
Oh, so good.
I feel like we could just start raving about Doe again, but the short version is Doe is great. Doe is all about resolving problems peacefully and helping people out.
And introspection and growth, character growth. That's what that design space is all about.
Evil Hat doesn't make as much of a big song and dance about how progressive they are as Wizards of the Coast or Disney do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when I was researching this, I saw that the latest game that Evil Hat is putting out, which is on Kickstarter right now, is Thirsty Sword Lesbians, which is the gayest role-playing game I think I've ever seen, and I mean that in the most positive, admiring way possible.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, that's a lot of actual meaningful representation right there. Yeah.
All right, James, I know you've got a third company.
And my third company, I've been saving my favourite one for last.
Chill.
I want to make it clear that I am not receiving any money from Chaosium. And yet, every single episode, I wind up shilling for how much I love Chaosium.
Hey, I'm the one who brought up Pendragon first this episode.
You did bring it up first. So, Chaosium have the best cultural detail in their role-playing games. They have a new Call of Cthulhu RPG that I'm super keen to play, and that's saying something because I don't like Lovecraft. And yet, their new campaign, which is based around Asian horror, which sounds incredibly cringeworthy, is actually backed up by years of research, by close cultural consultation, just like the previous work that they did, Harlem Unbound, which is about Cthulhu in Harlem in Black New York, which is a multi-award winner and gets called out as even if you don't like role-playing games, it's a good book to read. Even if you don't like Cthulhu, it's a good book to read. Another book I'd really like to get my hands on at some point. Chaosium's games have the strongest focus on being a member of a wider world where you take part in the life of your community. And so all the examples that we were coming up with when we were brainstorming all the ways in which D&D is capitalist, all the ways in which you could go and murder goblins for no good reason. And I said, oh, well, why can't you just, like, negotiate with them, or seek Wereguild, or what have you? Every single thing that I thought of is something that's a legitimate option in RuneQuest, where everybody has motivations for what they do. I think that keep in the Borderlands. I think that's encroaching into traditional goblin land. I think the reason why the monsters in the Caves of Chaos are coming to attack you is because there are settlers who are moving into their territory and maybe they don't have as much food before. And that's all headcanon for that. But in RuneQuest, that would be the actual plot.
Yeah, absolutely. Goblin lawyer of the Borderlands. That's what I want to play.
everyone has a culture, everyone participates with their family, with their community, with their tribe, with their gods, with their mythology in RuneQuest. I really, really want to play some RuneQuest, can you tell? Which is another rule system that we'll be looking at as well for
Yeah, they're basic and they're quest worlds.
Yes.
They're super basic.
Oh, fun thing with quest worlds. Do you know the mechanics that you need to resolve a fight?
What?
There are none.
Whoa.
Do you know the stats you need for a monster for a fight?
What?
There are none.
What? How? What? I'm just pretending to have my mind blown because I've done statless stuff before, but I know that most people haven't, so...
The difficulties for everything is based on how well you've been succeeding or failing up to date.
Huh. Very interesting.
And so if you've been succeeding a lot, then the bandits that you meet... It's time for a fall. The bandits that you meet out in the wilderness suddenly have a very high difficulty.
Right.
Oh, and the amount of dice that you roll to fight those bandits is exactly the same as the amount of dice you roll to talk to someone, to make a great work of art. Just one dice resolves the entire encounter.
Right.
Yeah, very different point of view. Yeah. Really story-based. And of course Pendragon, which we've talked about so many times. In Pendragon, your character is motivated not just to go kill things, but also to get a family, also to look after their lands.
Have children.
Yeah.
Dance.
Yeah, to take part in the cultural life of their community, to take part in the religious life of their community. Chaosium games have some of the best research, which really immerses you in the setting. You will learn so much about an actual medieval mindset by playing Pendragon. And at the same time, their latest... Well, I can't actually say what their latest adventure that they've just released for Pendragon is about, because Claire hasn't played it yet, and we are absolutely going to play that thing. All I can say is, even though there is a huge amount of actual historical detail in it, it is one of the most whimsical and light-hearted adventures about being a brave chivalrous knight that I've ever read. I am so keen to play it. So they're not detracting from the fun of taking part in the game.
Okay, I think that about wraps it up for what we wanted to talk about this fortnight. A few plugs before we go. Check out the podcast Bundle Buddies. So they are super cool. I've been listening to their episodes, and the bundle that is the titular bundle.
This is capital T, capital B.
Yeah, the bundle in their title is the Black Lives Matter bundle that I was part of back in June. So they are going to play... This is the one that had,
what, over 1,000 games in it?
1,300 and something, maybe 65,
wow.
56, 65. I get the numbers mixed up. But
that's a lot.
They're going to play through every single one of those games. Even if it takes them 26 years, they said. They're playing like 2 or 3 per podcast, though. So
right.
But they actually give each one like a 15-minute review and stuff. So they are next week. They're doing 9 Lives of Nim.
Will they have the voice acting?
No, they won't.
Oh,
it's sad. Yeah, they'll be doing it without the voice acting.
But, I guess just tell them.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I've actually been in touch with them, and we are maybe gonna do an episode with them. And they'll maybe do an episode with us. And that'll be cool. So, yeah, check them out. That's very cool. They're coming out of Los Angeles. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Nice international connection there. Keep in touch with us on our website, in our Discord, on our blog. Got live streams coming up next week. So long as we're not still sick. And Patreon, if you can be bothered. That's all my plugs, James. Bye!
Keep gaming, everyone.